Hello everyone, and in this video we will explore the topic of bias in leadership and understand why inclusive leadership is essential in today's global context. Leadership is often seen as the ability to make decisions, guide teams, and achieve results. However, effective leadership goes beyond authority and performance. It is also about fairness, equality, respect, and inclusion. In many cases, leaders, often without realizing it, can be influenced by personal assumptions and unconscious beliefs. These influences are known as bias. In this video, we will understand what bias is, how it affects leadership decisions, and what leaders can do to reduce bias and create more inclusive environments. So, what is bias? Bias refers to a tendency to favor or oppose something in a way that is often unfair or prejudiced. In leadership, bias can influence how leaders judge people, make decisions, and treat team members. These judgments may not always be intentional, but they can still have serious consequences. There are two main types of bias commonly discussed in leadership studies. The first is explicit bias. This type of bias is conscious and deliberate. A person is aware of their preference or belief. Explicit bias is often influenced by cultural norms, social conditioning, media exposure, and past experiences. The second type is implicit bias. This is unconscious and automatic. People may not even realize they have it. Despite this, implicit bias can strongly influence behavior, body language, and decision-making. Both explicit and implicit biases play a significant role in leadership and can shape outcomes in powerful ways. Bias in leadership can create serious challenges, especially within global and multicultural organizations. One major area where bias appears is in hiring and promotion decisions. Talented individuals may be overlooked simply because they do not fit a leader's unconscious expectations. Bias can also affect team dynamics. When employees feel excluded, undervalued, or treated unfairly, trust within the team begins to break down. This reduces cooperation and engagement. In international business settings, bias can lead to misjudging talent, misinterpreting cultural behaviors, or undermining diversity and inclusion efforts. When bias goes unaddressed, organizations may suffer from reduced innovation, limited creativity, and a lack of global competitiveness. Effective leadership requires recognizing these risks and actively working to prevent them. One of the most widely discussed forms of bias in leadership is gender bias. In the past, researchers and organizations questioned whether women could be effective leaders. Today, this question is no longer relevant. Leadership effectiveness is not determined by gender. Across the world, there are many successful female leaders who have demonstrated strong, ethical, and inclusive leadership styles. Examples include Jacinda Ardern, former Prime Minister of New Zealand, Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany, and Indira Gandhi, former Prime Minister of India. These leaders have shown that effective leadership is based on vision, competence, and values, not gender. However, despite this progress, women remain underrepresented in senior leadership roles. Current research focuses on understanding why these gaps exist. Factors include organizational structures, cultural expectations, work-life balance challenges, and unconscious bias. Reducing gender bias requires action at individual, organizational, and societal levels. Leaders can take several practical steps to reduce bias and promote inclusion. First, awareness training helps leaders recognize their own biases and reflect on how these biases influence decisions. Awareness is the first step toward change. Second, structured decision-making ensures that hiring, promotion, and evaluation processes are based on clear objective criteria rather than personal impressions. Third, using diverse panels in recruitment and leadership selection introduces multiple perspectives and reduces the influence of individual bias. Fourth, open feedback mechanisms encourage employees to speak up about unfair practices without fear of retaliation. Finally, leaders must develop cultural intelligence, also known as CQ. Cultural intelligence allows leaders to understand, respect, and adapt to different cultural norms, values, and communication styles in global teams. Together, these strategies help create more inclusive and equitable leadership practices. Now, take a moment to reflect. Think about a situation where bias may have influenced a decision you made or witnessed. It could have occurred in a classroom, a workplace, or a group project. Ask yourself what assumptions were made. Who may have been affected? What could have been done differently? Effective leaders are not perfect. However, they are self-aware, open to learning, and willing to improve their behavior for the benefit of others. To conclude, bias can have a significant negative impact on leadership, teams, and organizations, especially in a global context. Inclusive leadership requires continuous awareness, fairness, and a commitment to learning and growth. By actively reducing bias, leaders can build stronger relationships, encourage diversity, and create more innovative and successful organizations. Thank you for watching.